Welcome to this latest Elite Dangerous Dev Diary. In this, I'm going to talk about the alpha phase and the beta phase of development. But to kick off, one of the things that I would like to do is thank all those on the DDF, or the Design Discussion Forum, for their great input. This has been a really valuable two-way communication. We've learned a lot from it. Hopefully people have been enjoying the process, which is going to continue, obviously. But also we've changed the game designer as a result. One example is something that we've been referring to as Super Cruise, where you can travel around a system very quickly. I think this is because some of the people really wanted, one of the features in Frontier was the ability to travel around the solar system very rapidly. The way this works is by fast forwarding time for those who haven't seen the game. But in a multiplayer game, clearly you can't fast forward time. So we've come up with a different mechanic where you can travel very rapidly around solar systems and found a way for it to work in multiplayer. And that has been a very useful process in the Design Discussion Forums. If you don't know what I'm talking about, head over to the forums and have a look, because it's also mentioned on the main forums. We're now close to December, and I'm not wearing a jumper, and I'm freezing because the weather's changed over here in the UK. But December is when we start the alpha process, which obviously everyone, including us, are very, very excited about. This is where we bring out parts of the game in close to final form and release to builds where we all play it, comment on it, doubtless criticize it, hopefully people will love it as well, and tune it so that we can get the very best out of this process. As we go through the alpha period, we'll release different alpha builds testing different aspects of the game, and gradually those will start to come together. Now at the end of that starts the beta process, where we start to see the game come together as a whole, if you like, and work together. That won't necessarily be a perfect game. It will fail to run, I'm sure, on some people's computers. That's the beauty of the beta process. It's to get it just so, to tune it so that there are no real exploits and all that sort of thing. And all of the beta Kickstarter people, for which we are eternally grateful, and thank you very, very much, will also join the process. So we'll have a lot larger numbers with people fighting against each other, people playing separately. All of that sort of thing is very, very important. And the other important thing is, as I said about the DDF, we will listen to what people's input, and we will make sure, we will take our time. We will do it so that it's right. That's the great thing about this process. We will have the opportunity, which often we don't get when working to a very fixed, tight schedule, to essentially to release it when it's right. Now, at the end of the beta process, then people who've contributed to get the game through Kickstarter will get the game. But we intend to do a prolonged think of it, the game Minecraft, for example, was in public beta for, I think, nigh on 2 years. Now, we're not saying that here, don't worry. But I think the point is we want to have, call it a gamma, if you like, a period when when all of the Kickstarter funders have it. But before we go to a retail release, so we can make sure that the game is just so. And that period will then follow that. The purpose of this is to get the game good. We have a chance of this to make something that's really excellent, and we absolutely intend to take it. So that essentially outlines the shape of the process we've got to come, starting in December with the game, and gradually rolling out more and more elements, more and more features in it. So to go into a bit more detail about what we're planning to release in the alpha phase. So we're starting off with a combat test build. This will test various aspects of combat in near final form of the game, to tune, and hopefully you'll really like it. That's a number of different scenarios that you'll be able to launch straight into, already set up, going one-on-one with another ship and various other things to come that we will also use to balance the game and to look at how easy or hard people find it. And then there will be other builds throughout alpha. So now I'll go on to some questions. Okay, firstly from Rochester. Will mission failure, not just success, have consequences in the game? Right, absolutely. It will, in the sense that all hooks are in the background simulation. If you think what failure means, failure is not like, you failed to do this, that you might get in a sort of a level-based challenge game. Actually, failure to do it might have a sensible story outcome. You've taken a passenger to the wrong place, say. Or the mission where you've gone to bring back a piece of cargo. It actually turns out that they were just using you to smuggle something that was deeply illegal. So mission failure just means the original objectives as set by the person setting the mission haven't been completed. It might have been your intention. You might just have sold a thing on the open market because it was valuable. So the point is, yes, it will. There are hooks in the game already to cope with that, and the game will respond. Sometimes it will be just plain failure, but more often than not, it's a consequence that you've chosen to take. Okay, the next question is from Mike Snoss. Apologies if I've mispronounced that. What is it like being answerable to 25,000 backers? Well, I think it's actually over 34,000 now, but it's a big deal. I mentioned the design discussion forum already. And, the important thing is, and it's no real difference to when we release a game on disk. And actually, in some ways, that's a lot more terrifying because you can't change it once it's on the disk. Whereas this way, we can tweak it, we can adjust it to, if there's a problem with a particular person's computer, we can tweak it, we can fix it. But yes, not to be flippant, it is a big deal. We know this matters to a lot of people. It matters a lot to me. And I know we will get things wrong, but what we will do is we will try and get as few things wrong as possible. And that is the beauty of having an alpha process, a beta process, and what we're suggesting now, a gamma process, a prolonged public beta, for want of a better term. To get it just right, and I think that's all part of it. And I hope everyone will understand that and will be part of that, and will highlight the things that really matter to them. We've seen this, I've mentioned Supercruise because it mattered a lot to some people. And actually, to be honest, I think it improves the game. So it's a good thing to have done. I think there will be things that come out of the alpha and the beta that will be similar and that we need to be responsive to. And to try and preempt them, I think would be a mistake, other than the fact to say that we are listening. So yes, it is a big deal and we take it seriously, and fingers crossed, we'll do a great job. So next question is from Matthew D. Benson. Will space stations have their own weapon systems? Okay, so the obvious answer is yes. Firstly, they will have cops that stream out. I did that in Elite and in Frontier. This will be similar. But also, yes, I think we will have weapon systems on the station as well. The reason that they weren't in Elite and Frontier is actually from a gameplay perspective. It can very much sort of spoil the enjoyment because it was actually quite fun flying around with the police ships. But I think we will do something with that. We will work out the detail of how we do it, and also to make sure that the player has a warning if all they've done is done something like press the fire button by mistake. This is another thing that we will test in the alpha and in the beta. Okay, final question from Windle. Will Elite Dangerous allow for remote control of ships? So I think that the easy answer is no, at least not initially, except for something I'll talk about in a second. I mean, the whole Elite experience is you in the cockpit of a ship. Once you start remote piloting ships, it both removes the jeopardy, which I think is a key part of the experience, and that feeling that you are really flying the ship. It removes from that. One of the things that I remember experimenting with in Frontier was remote flyable missiles, which were actually quite fun, and that is something we might look at. But and by that I mean where you briefly pilot a missile via a remote control. But I think it's very problematic, and I think it's not something that we would probably do from day one. But it's certainly something we have seriously considered. Okay, that was the last question. Thank you very much all for listening. We're moving forward, the weather's changing, and it's a very exciting time. And look forward to speaking to you again on the next Dev Diary. Thank you.